Hey everyone, in this video we're going to show you how to draw a strawberry. So grab your pencils and let's get drawing. So this is going to be a detailed drawing. I'm going to take you through every step of the way, and we'll start out by just drawing the rough outline of the strawberry. So the strawberry will basically kind of go like this, and over and down, somewhat to a point, and back over here like this, and kind of this kind of shape. You will have some kind of leaf-like pieces at the top. We'll get to those later. The actual berry itself, you want to make sure that you have enough roundness over here. So over here you don't want to be too pointy. You want to get round, and then over here you do go down to a point that's a little more over here, and then the actual strawberry itself is kind of a bit over here. So this is kind of the rough outline of the strawberry, and it probably looks pretty accurate. If we need to make changes, we will. And I'll actually tell you that strawberries are the only fruit that have their seeds on the outside. If you've ever seen a strawberry, you know that there's all these little specks that exist on the strawberry. So those are actually the seeds on the outside. Really interesting to know. I always wondered why, but seeds on the outside, and the only fruit that actually does that. So what I'll do here is I'll just kind of solidify this line. I think I'm pretty happy with the shape of it, so I think just making it solid will help this drawing come together a little more. So what we're going to do is start at the top left and work our way down. And what I want to do is actually draw those little seeds that exist. They're just going to be the tiniest little specks. And in fact, around the outside, they're actually just going to be a little smaller as you go close to the edge, and a little bigger as you bring it in to the inside. So let's speed this part up. I don't want to drag you through this whole process, but I'll come back. I'm going to put on these little dots, and I'll be right back. Okay, so we're back. We basically just put the little seeds on the outside. Really interesting because technically, because the seeds are on the outside, strawberries aren't actually really berries like blueberries or even grapes. Technically, they're a seed on the outside means that they're not a berry as a result. So they're considered to be their own type of fruit, if you believe it or not, because the seeds are on the outside. So really interesting to know. I think the hardcore kind of botanists, as they call them, consider the strawberry to be its own type of fruit, but I think to the more common folk, maybe like you and I, you might find that it's perfectly fine to call it a fruit, so don't worry about that. What I want to do now is actually redraw the line over here based on some of these seed lines. And what's going to happen is we might even have a few of these little seed lines exist right on the edge. And because I just did that, I'm going to get a sharper pencil, but a mid-range pencil, and actually just try to get those curvature lines just like this. So what I'm basically saying is that over here, there's a bit of a protrusion that exists between each seed line. I actually physically want there to look like there's a bit of kind of this kind of line forming like this. I think that will look a little more realistic. So that's all I did. No big deal. Just a quick little way to just show some drawing realism, if you will. That's all I did. And we'll focus on that side and we'll bring it around afterward, okay? So what I would say is that around each of these little seedlings, what you want to do is know that these little dots are all indented. There's little like dimples or divots or whatever you want to call it. So around there, you're basically going to have this kind of this outer protrusion like pattern happening. So if we can, for each of these little dimples, you want to kind of draw some lines that kind of go out and actually make it look like a 3D like shape. So you can see I just did a few. If I were to continue doing this, might start to look a little more realistic. So what I would say is maybe we can speed this part up again, and I'll just add on all of these little shapes and lines, these little kind of 3D-like effects around. And when I come back, they'll all be done. So hang with me, I'll be right back. I'll meet you on the other side. Okay, so we're back. We basically just put the little curvature lines around each of those little pieces, and the tricky part is just starting on the actual dot and just working way out, and you just repeat that. It takes a bit of time, but it's kind of worth it in the end, because you can see I tested it a bit, but once you start using your own smudge technique and just let some of this lead from the pencil just kind of move around, you can kind of see that this will start to look much more realistic as a result. So some of those little lines that we drew are there for, to show kind of the actual curvature of the area, but also to let that lead move around on the actual strawberry itself. So I use my finger to use my smudge technique, but you can use anything that you really like. If your strawberry is going to be darker at the base or at the bottom, you might want to smudge more at the bottom. Kind of obvious, but play around with it until you're happy with it. You can also add some pencil to the bottom to give it just a little more darkness, which is what I just did over here. And you can kind of see this is already starting to look a lot better. Even around the other side, you might want to create some more shading, and you can do so by just adding a little pencil using a 5B, and then use your smudge technique to create some realism on that strawberry, right? So in this particular strawberry, I want to go darker around the edges over here. And I'm going to do that by really laying down, some of this pencil on this side. So all I do is really just work my way around like this. You can see, and of course you can see this really starts to take shape, right? You can kind of see already the realism. I'll use my eraser. I usually wait till the end, but I want to just show you how much better that looks once you kind of do that, okay? So basically do that. By the way, strawberries are technically members of the rose family. I don't know if you ever realized that, but strawberries smell as sweet as they taste, and that's what they say. They also say that a strawberry is a perennial, which means if you actually go ahead and plant a strawberry plant, fruit, or whatever you want to call it, it will grow every year. You don't have to replant it and put seeds down and things like that. Technically, that will grow every single year. Let's draw the what I call the upper part of the strawberry, which is kind of where the little leaves are at the top. And it doesn't have to be complicated, but just a piece like this, just a little piece at the top, and then of course you might want to just get just ever so slightly a few kind of leaves as well. So you might want to get one like that, and then the second one might, just kind of exist like that. And the best part is you can play around with it, right? Because there's no real pattern that you have to follow. So, the only pattern I'd say is the ones on the side are, I would say, a little more like sideways looking, kind of like this. And then the ones in the center where they're maybe looking more at you, a little more symmetrical like this. So example, this one's more symmetrical, and then even the one beside it might actually look a little more like that. But then as you kind of get away, you might find that your leaves start to look a little more like that. That's all I'm saying. That's all you really need to do. To be perfectly honest with you, drawing leaves on a strawberry is probably not the main goal of the drawing, so you don't want to spend too much time here anyway. But of course it's nice to kind of make the leaves look, you know, fairly real as well. So let's see if we can make this look just fairly realistic if we can. Now, in order to finish off this drawing, I would say that you can also just grab perhaps something like a 7B pencil and just add a little shading maybe to the sides and to the bottom of each of these leaves. It might give the illusion of just a little more shading at the base, at the bottom, and more realism to your drawing as well. So I would say that that's also a really good way to do this. And that's all I'm doing over here. And as you know, you can see I do really like using my smudge technique on this drawing. So just using your finger or any smudge tool that you have to really just bring out the lead from your pencil onto the drawing is really going to help you in this. So hopefully you are doing the same. By the way, are you drawing along? How's it going? Are you getting stuck? Are you having any challenges? Let us know. We're here to help. Did you know there's actually a strawberry museum in Belgium? So there's an entire museum dedicated to strawberries in Belgium. So I can't say I've been, but if you've ever been, please let me know. But the Strawberry Museum in Belgium probably sounds delicious. I would hope they give you like strawberries to taste. I would certainly hope so. Maybe it's just more of like a historical thing. But either way, it's probably worth a visit. Sounds quite interesting, so check it out. So we're basically at the point where we're at the review stage, right? We want to look at what we have, what we can fix, and how we can finish off this drawing. So I'm going to take my eraser and just erase anything that's outside of my my object, in this case the strawberry. I'm going to erase very carefully, just make sure I get to the point where I'm not impacting the actual drawing itself. And you can see I'm just taking my time and carefully doing this. So for the most part, I'm pretty happy with this. I might be inclined to take my 7 and probably just add just a tiny bit of shading down below. If I can do that, I might just add just ever so slightly, just a touch more realism down to the bottom, right? You can already see that's looking like it just has that extra little touch of shading, and it shows. It really shows. This part here is looking a little too light. It's okay, but just throwing that out there that it probably just needs to be just a tiny bit more. Yeah. So, you know, we look at this, we kind of look at, I'd say probably add a leaf over here. Very thin one, right? Doesn't really have to be too much or by any means too wild, but I think there was just something off balance over there. And just adding this leaf could probably make it look a little better. Yeah, see already that's looking a lot better. So if you're drawing along, hopefully these tips and hints really helped. Hopefully you like the facts and everything there is to know about strawberries. Well, at least a few facts for today. If you're really interested in strawberries, you can probably do a quick Google search and find some more facts as well. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this drawing. Let's clean this up. I'll say thank you so much for watching and have a great day.